This is Arukh Yardeh Simon Mem Sif Vav through test. This is supplemental day 291 through the Arukh of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi cycle. What do we say? Vav to test. Vav. Kasar ben Abisis and the basis writes if there's a hole and it does not reach the cavity, if it's on account of an illness, it's kosher. If it comes out of a thorn or a needle, it's treifa hakal l'shono. Even if you find a needle in the cavity of the body, and it's not shoved into anywhere, it's treifa. It's the tour. It's only kosher if the hole is clearly on account of his illness. Every suffix in the cholia, the coats if you're in doubt if it's by a sickness or via a thorn or machat or a needle treif. It's treif. Even though we can't find a thorn or a needle in front of us. Anytime we have the suffix, whether this hole which emerges on the outer side of the heart is not on account of a sickness, it's treifa. That's the prisha. Those want to say it's kosher if it's a question of a sickness, suffix coats or a thorn, or machat or a needle. There's a double suffix. Suffix shemai de choli. Maybe it happened as a result of an illness. In some of their coats, a machat, if it happened through a thorn or through a needle, maybe one of the organs which is it's rendered treif by being a hold was not hold. That's chagura shmuel. I've seen this in the shach. Well, I guess we'll talk about it here, where it's not to where if I don't find a needle on. We don't know if there's a hole in the heart or anywhere else for that matter. It came from a needle. Veneer ikar there is showing that we have to treif it up. It's not like a hole in the gizzard of a bird where it's kosher if it's a suffix of if it's an illness or suffix if it's a thorn. Which is by Supplemental test. We shall see in Supplemental test also, but of my arena it's about a bird. Rov opposition of zepek, and most of birds have a crop. And evidently the food comes from the crop to the gizzard. And if you don't know much, and even we say that most of the things they swallow come through the veshet, through the esophagus, where a hole would make a treif. Therefore, it must be that the hole should be is in a place where the hole passes. No, perhaps came out through the crop in the way in which it doesn't pass. But by an animal where our skin is intact, and most of the things in swell through the esophagus. I'm not sure exactly why the anatomy of the cow is different, but evidently we'll find out when we get the Simon test. Men test, sorry. There's no fake sveka. That's prima guardian. For Kenyad, the dinner that seems to be the halacha. In practice, it says, I don't know why nobody mentions the Prisha who says it's straight misafek. But we see that the thorn came from outside the body. And it touched the heart. It didn't pierce the chambers of the heart. It's kosher like we will see in Siman Nun Aleph, see Vav. That's prima guardian. Sign. This is the Meis Yosef we'll discuss in Vav. Now Zayin was saying the halacha of a needle which was found in the heart, but did not get into the inner chambers. It's not clarified in the Gemara. Opposed to a needle which is found in the liver or the lung, which is explained. A bahag beer din zeh, but the bahag, who Arukh is a big fan of the bahag because the very divrei Mesora or divrei Kabbalah. So the bahag explains this halacha. The Torah brings it down. This is what he says. A needle which is found in the heart. Even though we don't find a hole, treifa. This is when you find it in the tube of the heart on the outside, on the inside. There's no way to go out. And when it's needle, the point of the needle is facing downwards. Because obviously it progressed and made more of a hole and a tough treif. But if the thick part is facing down, face where you have the eye part where you have the eye of the needle, and it didn't come, only came into a large a blood vessel going into the heart. We assume perhaps when it came up, it pushed it out. And to assume it's ulcer is not appropriate, I guess. The nafka mihasam nakib duchakrise. It'll go out from there. It came out from there, and it will go pierce somewhere else. End quote. There are many interpretations of this. What exactly it means? Why should be any better? And it says the Beisos and the Brach and the Prish and the HaShulchan and the Taz and the Brim Meganim. I think that this is the pshat. The Hinei Beprusha, the Kufa Bar Kufa go. In terms of what it means, Kupa facing outside, Kupa facing inside. The Itman Bagmar says Gemara Gabi Kaved, but it's much more Daf Mem Ches by the liver. Yeshnei Perusha, because it's better Siman Aleph, the two interpretations which we'll see in Siman Aleph. By Bahag Svir Kapir Sharif and Rambam Barash, which by Sham, he holds that the Levar Mikra Letzad Haguf. So the outside means towards the body. We'll go, Mikra Letzad Haguf, and to the inside means towards the cavity of the body. Sorry, did I read that right? She's based on the part because it's on a rush. Sorry, towards the head. The God migrated towards the cavity of the body. The lower chashin shechnas derech habesha derech kanen nichnas. We're not concerned they came in during they came in through the esophagus, but rather through the trachea. So came kufa levar trefa. So if the kupa, the thickness of the needle is facing outside, towards the head, it's treif. The game b'chud l'mata, since it went down through the point. We're afraid maybe as it was moving down, it pierced one of the organs. When the kupa is towards the inside, it's kosher. The kupa aim in kov because the thick part of the needle doesn't have the capacity to create a hole. That's he says. That's the Taz and the Bach in the second interpretation there. A test. It's important to realize that they had the assumption that there is no barrier between something coming from the trachea or the esophagus into one of the major arteries. They're all connected together. So therefore, they would not have perceived a hole in that scenario. I don't change the halacha. They hold that all those konim, konei leiv, konei kaved, and konei rea were all connected together. I think we'll get that's the best of my recollection. We'll soon get that eventually. Test v'hag ma'arik shenim sa macha be'echon v'zimfonos. The needles found maybe right here. The needles found in one of the tubes. V'tachel v'basar leiv, and it's embedded also in the flesh of the heart, but again it didn't reach the hollow inside. It says it's found in the tube, the lake of the gavoy, the liba of the gavoy, that they use it to. There's a sign of the liba. It's found in the tube of the heart. The gavoy towards the inside, there's no way of getting out. It's found in one of the tubes. The total basar leiv. and it's embedded in the flesh of the heart. It can't get out of there. It's stuck. And the head of the eagle is down. In other words, it's towards the cavity of the body. And so it means when the thickness of the needle is towards the outside. Perusho, according to his interpretation, which Kosavu. And since it goes to the sharp point, we're concerned that maybe, in this case, it came from the from inside the heart, because the sharpness is pointing outwards. You can't check like in the lung, which you check by inflating it. The heart, there's no inflation. If we have safe strafa. But if the thick part is towards the body, the thick part is towards the goof is towards the cavity of the body. So that's what he means. That's what he interprets the thickness towards towards the inside, kosher. It's kosher. As Bir Hatam, we explain since it went traversed with the thickness going first. But it must come through the big tube, and then PSA tubes along the way. Then PSA things along the way. The otherwise it couldn't just pierce through with the thickness. So we're not concerned that it came through the veshet. I mean, in which case, evidently, it would have to pierce to get to the heart, because that tube is not connected to going into the from the esophagus to the stomach is not connected. Don't we say that it came from the trachea through the large tube going into the heart, the large shumakom, which is in a thick part. Which is in a wide part. And that which now it's found in a different tube of the heart, not even the same one, and it's embedded in the flesh. We assume that through a cough. Came through the big tube, which is the tube going from the trachea, to this tube. And it got embedded in the flesh. That's what coughing does. It dislodges something or dislocates it from something which starts from place to place. Anytime we're going to say, so let's be concerned that it went from the large tube coming from the trachea and pierced to the cavity. And then it came back into the heart. So there's a hole somewhere in the body. That he says we don't assume an isser. That we're concerned that it came out from there from the large tube coming from the trachea of and it pierced elsewhere until it got to the cavity. And we say as it's found now that's how it was previously. Went from the large tube to the other tube, and got somewhat embedded in the flesh, and did not reach the cavity. The bracket says, it seems good as a shot in the bag. I'm not sure why our rabbis had difficulty with this. Okay, that's it for today.